Hey, remember the days when buildings were made to look nice? No, me either, but at least we can still see remnants of a time when thought, expenses, and even love were put into architecture. One such example of this is the Flatiron Building in New York City, in the United States. What a beauty! Some of you probably already recognize the building if you've been to the Big Apple, or seen any of the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies. But even if you haven't seen it, maybe you don't know the history behind it. So here we go. This was one of the city's first skyscrapers, completed in 1902 and taking up an entire block between 5th Avenue, Broadway, East 22nd Street, and East 23rd Street. It was early in 1901 when the original plot of land shaped like a flatiron, hence the name, was sold to the Cumberland Realty Company, a partner to the Fuller Company, owned by Harry S. Black after the passing of George Fuller. Harry had the plans from George to create an office building on the site, which at this time were living and store accommodations. After these were bought, and a subsidiary was made with Harry and the Cumberland Company, the tenants of these spaces had to leave after an expired lease, or they got compensation to leave, so that demolition of the old buildings could begin. The new building would be designed by Daniel Burnham, an architect who had worked mainly in Chicago. The Fuller project would be his first in the Big Apple. We'll go over this building's construction and design from the base up, starting with its 35 feet deep foundation, with concrete supporting the steel beams for the flatiron structure with the granite tops in between. The basement actually has vaults which protrude underneath the surrounding streets. Back in the day, these vaults would house restaurants and pubs, where a lot of the early ragtime music was played. The skeleton of the building was made of steel. This was somewhat new for the time, as most structures prior to this were made with iron. The flatiron was supported by 36 steel beams, with girders connecting them horizontally. The pace of work was exceptional, with one floor being completed each week. As the top of the frame was finishing up, work crews started lining the sides with terracotta tiles and copper-coated window frames. In these days, it was important for a building of such size to actually look appealing to the eye, and the stylized terracotta and pillars made the flatiron come to life. The only drawbacks were related to safety. The flatiron only had one staircase, and its elevators were hydraulic and slow. These were later replaced by electric ones in the 1980s. The flatiron took on a column design most architecture of the time followed, with a thicker base, a less detailed midsection, and an ornamented top. After the building's completion in 1902, it quickly became a landmark in the city. Its original name was meant to honor George Fuller, but people in the street never stopped referring to it as the Flatiron Building, and the name stuck. Unfortunately, throughout most of the 20th century, the area around the Flatiron decreased in popularity, and although this new structure brought wonder and excitement for the surrounding population, the Prohibition era as well as the Great Depression in the 1920s saw businesses move out of this part of the city and move further north. The pubs and restaurants in the basement suffered, and the Fuller Company itself left in 1929, moving to their new headquarters on 57th Street. The Flatiron would, from that point on, be the home of smaller stores and offices for different companies and publishers. The building had some notable renovations in the 1980s and early 1990s, as well as in 2022, where the original staircase was removed and a second staircase was added. With less actual companies wanting to set up, plans are in place for a complete remodel of the interior and private living spaces to be installed. Hopefully, this fantastic building can continue its journey throughout the next century. Well, thanks for watching everyone, and God bless.